there will be spoilers. So, contrary to popular belief, there are actually 6 books in The Lord of the Rings, not 3, although it was published in 3 volumes, The Fellowship of the Ring being the first part, which was followed by The Two Towers, and concluded with The Return of the King. The books follow the journey of a hobbit called Frodo Baggins and his companions as they travel across the world, which is called Middle-earth, to try and defeat the Dark Lord Sauron. The novel begins with the birthday party of Frodo and his uncle Bilbo, who some of you may know from The Hobbit. However, Bilbo is bored with his life in the quiet village of Hobbiton, and craves the adventure he had when he was young. So, during his party, he vanishes and leaves the Shire for good, leaving everything to Frodo. Included in Bilbo's belongings is an old ring which Bilbo has had for many years. The wizard Gandalf, who is an old friend of the Bagginses, has his suspicions about the ring, and after many years of research discovers that the ring is in fact the Ring of Power, which was forged by Sauron in the fires of Mount Doom. It was lost an age ago when Sauron was defeated but not destroyed. Now, Sauron has returned and seeks out the Ring of Power so that he can return to his full power, take dominion over all the world, as all good villains want to. After a brief discussion with Gandalf, Frodo agrees to take the ring to Rivendell, where the elven lord Elrond lives, where he hopes it will be safe. Gandalf, however, has to leave on urgent business, and tells Frodo to meet him in the town of Bree at the Prancing Pony Inn. Frodo sets out with Samwise Gamgee, who incidentally is his gardener, but was caught eavesdropping on the conversation and forced to accompany Frodo. Along the way, Frodo's friends Merry and Pippin join them. As they travel, they become aware of some tall dark men on tall dark horses who are hunting them. These are not in fact men, but Nazgul, the cruel tortured ghosts of men who are the most feared of all the servants of Sauron. After a near run-in with the Nazgul, and it was very near, the hobbits arrive at Bree to find that Gandalf isn't there. There is, however, a tall rough man who keeps looking at them strangely. After Frodo puts the ring on in the middle of the common room and disappears, one of its perks, there is a commotion, and the strange man reveals himself to the hobbits. He tells them his name is Strider, but the hobbits don't trust him. It is at this point the forgetful landlord turns up with a letter from Mr. Underwood, Frodo's pre-agreed pseudonym, which he was meant to post but didn't. The letter is from Gandalf and explains that he can't make it and they should press on without him, and if they meet a man called Strider on their travels, they should trust him. Later that night, the Nazgul break into the hobbits' room and stab their beds. However, the hobbits are safe, as they went with Strider to another room after the commotion they caused in the common room. The next day, the whole group sets out for Rivendell. Unfortunately, the Nazgul catch up with them on a hill called Weathertop, and Frodo is stabbed with a mortal blade. This begins to corrupt his spirit. After Strider has chased off the Nazgul, he and the hobbits rush to get Frodo to Rivendell in time, where they hope Lord Elrond will be able to help him. However, Frodo is fading fast. They meet the elf Glorfindel, who takes Frodo to Rivendell on his horse. As they cross the ford into Rivendell, the Nazgul once again catch up and try to take Frodo. Elrond, who sees what is happening, summons the water spirits and attacks the Nazgul, and they are demounted from their horses. This is the end of the first book. Book 2 starts with Frodo waking up in Rivendell. He has been healed by Lord Elrond. Gandalf has also thankfully arrived. After a few days, Frodo attends a meeting with representatives from all the major races of Middle-earth. Elves, men, dwarves, and hobbits are all present. They decide that there is no place in Middle-earth where the ring will be safe, and so they decide a group must be formed to take the ring to the land of Mordor, to Mount Doom, where it will at last be cast into the fires and destroyed forever. The group is formed, and it is made up of Frodo, who is the ring-bearer, Gandalf, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. Joining the group are also the elf Legolas, the dwarf Gimli, the man Boromir, and Strider, another man whose real name is Aragorn. This group henceforth is known as the Fellowship of the Ring. After a few weeks, the Fellowship leave Rivendell and begin their epic quest across Middle-earth. However, they don't get very far. The head of Gandalf's Order of Wizards, Saruman, has sided with Sauron and sends a storm to stop the Fellowship crossing the mountain pass. This forces the Fellowship to go through the dwarvish mines of Moria. As soon as they enter the mines, they discover that all the dwarves have been killed, and the place has been infested with goblins. Frodo also notices that they are being followed by a single solitary creature. As they travel through the mines, they come to the tomb of Balin, who was once the Lord of Moria. At this point, Pippin, the fool of the group, causes a noise which alerts the goblins to their presence. Legions of goblins start to attack the Fellowship, and although they have barricaded themselves in Balin's tomb room, they are soon overwhelmed and forced to flee. They become aware of something much larger and much more dangerous chasing them, and soon Gandalf informs them that Balrog has been awoken. They reach the bridge of Khazad-dûm just as the Balrog catches up with them, and Gandalf faces off the huge demon of smoke and fire on the narrow bridge, casts it down into the abyss below. However, as it falls, the Balrog drags Gandalf with it, and they both fall into the abyss. Although racked with grief, the Fellowship continues onward and eventually escapes the mines. They head into a forest where they are spotted by some elves and taken to the kingdom of Lothlorien. Here they meet the High Lady Galadriel, who rules the kingdom with her husband Celeborn. She allows them to stay for a few days before she provides them with boats and food for the journey ahead. She also presents gifts to the members of the Fellowship. To Aragorn she gives a sheath for his great sword Anjiro. To Merry and Pippin she gave silver belts. To Boromir she gave a golden belt. To Legolas she gave an elven bow. To Sam she gave a box containing the earth from Lothlorien, because Sam is a gardener. And to Frodo she gave a phial containing the light of the stars. The Fellowship travel down the river to a place called Amon Hen. Here they are ambushed by Uruk-hai sent by Saruman. The Fellowship is broken. Frodo and Sam escape across the river, but Merry and Pippin are captured and carried away. Boromir is killed. The book ends with Frodo and Sam setting off towards Mordor alone. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like rating if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to see the next part.